It started slowly, almost quietly. A few yawns in the middle of the day, a nap here and there after lunch. Nothing unusual, or so I thought. I was 68, retired, and living what I thought was a peaceful life. I still mowed the lawn, took walks with my wife, and read the newspaper every morning. But lately, even those small things started to feel heavy, like my body was running on low battery. I remember one morning I went out to check the mail. Just a short walk down the driveway. By the time I came back, my chest was pounding, and I had to sit on the porch just to catch my breath. I laughed it off. "Guess I'm getting old," I told Linda. She smiled, but I could see the worry in her eyes. A few days later, I was making coffee when my hands started trembling. Not much, just a faint shake, but enough to spill a few drops on the counter. That's when I realized something was off. I wasn't just tired, I was weak. Every morning, I woke up feeling like I hadn't slept at all. My legs felt like they were filled with sand, and even climbing the stairs made me dizzy. Sometimes, when I stood up too fast, the world tilted for a second, and I had to grab the wall just to stay upright. Linda kept insisting, "You should see Dr. Harris. This isn't just age, George." But I shook my head. Men my age didn't rush to doctors for being tired. We just pushed through it. One afternoon, I fell asleep watching TV and woke up 3 hours later still exhausted. My heart was racing, and I felt this strange pounding in my ears, like my body was trying to tell me something, and I wasn't listening. That night, I caught my reflection in the bathroom mirror. My skin looked pale, almost gray. There were dark circles under my eyes, and my lips looked faded. It didn't look like me. For the first time, I felt afraid, because this wasn't just about feeling tired anymore. Something deeper was happening, something I didn't understand. I promised Linda I'd call Dr. Harris in the morning, but even as I said it, I wondered if it was already too late. The next morning, I finally called Dr. Harris's office. He'd been my family doctor for years, calm, gentle, and always smiling. His nurse gave me an appointment that same afternoon. Linda insisted on driving me. I didn't argue this time. When we walked into his office, Dr. Harris looked up from his computer and smiled. "George, what brings you in today?" I tried to make a joke. "Just a little tired, Doc. Think I'm running out of batteries." He chuckled softly, but when I sat down, he noticed the way I leaned on the chair. Slow, cautious, careful. He asked questions, a lot of them. How long had I been feeling weak? Was I dizzy? Did I have shortness of breath? Any changes in my weight, appetite, or sleep? Each answer made his eyebrows tighten just a little more. Then came the physical exam. He checked my pulse, slow but steady, pressed his stethoscope to my chest, listened quietly. Then he asked me to take a deep breath. By the time I finished exhaling, I saw a flicker of concern in his eyes. "George, your heart sounds fine, but your skin looks pale, and your nails, they're a bit brittle." He paused. "When was your last blood test?" I shrugged. "A year ago? Maybe 2?" He nodded slowly, typing something into his chart. "Let's run a few tests," he said. "I want to check your red blood cell count, iron levels, thyroid, and a few vitamins. Fatigue like this often has a reason. We just need to find it." The nurse drew 3 small vials of blood. I watched the deep red swirl into the tubes, feeling strangely detached, like it wasn't even mine. Afterwards, I felt dizzy again. The nurse offered me water, and for a moment, I realized how fragile I had become. Dr. Harris came back just before we left. "George, I'll call you as soon as your results come in," he said kindly. "But if you start feeling worse, chest pain, shortness of breath, anything like that, go to the emergency room immediately. I nodded, trying to stay calm, but the way he said it made my stomach twist. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. My body felt heavy, like it was sinking into the mattress. Every beat of my heart echoed in my ears. Linda turned toward me and whispered, "It's gonna be okay, George. Maybe you just need vitamins." I wanted to believe her, but deep down, I knew this wasn't just vitamins. It felt bigger, like my body was whispering a secret I hadn't yet heard. The next morning, the phone rang. Dr. Harris's voice was calm, too calm. "George, can you come in today? I'd like to discuss your results in person." That's when I knew something was wrong. When I walked into Dr. Harris's office that morning, he didn't greet me with his usual smile. He just motioned for me to sit. And that's when I felt it. The air was heavier than usual. He turned his monitor toward me, and I saw my name at the top of a long report filled with numbers and lines. "George, your blood tests show that your red blood cell count is very low." He looked at me with gentle seriousness. "You have anemia." I frowned, trying to make sense of the word. Anemia? That's just low iron, right? He nodded, but his tone stayed serious. "Yes, but it's not that simple. Your iron levels are extremely low. Your body isn't making enough hemoglobin, which means your blood can't carry enough oxygen." He paused, then added softly, "That's why you're so tired. Your muscles, your brain, even your heart, they're all running on less fuel." I sat there quietly, feeling the words sink in. Low oxygen. Weak blood. It sounded like my body was quietly starving for something it couldn't make. Dr. Harris leaned forward. "Now, the real question is why your iron is so low. In men your age, it's not usually from diet. It's often from slow internal bleeding." My eyes widened. "Bleeding? From where?" He sighed. "It could be from the stomach or intestines. Sometimes a small ulcer or polyp can leak blood slowly, too little to notice, but enough to drain you over time." He handed me a paper with test orders. "We'll need to do a colonoscopy and some imaging to check. Don't worry, we'll find the cause." Linda squeezed my hand as we left the office. Neither of us said much on the drive home. The word bleeding echoed in my head like a slow drumbeat. I thought back to the months of fatigue, the pale skin, the pounding in my ears, all signs I had ignored. That evening, I sat on the porch again, watching the sunset fade behind the trees. The world felt slower, quieter. I took a deep breath, but it didn't fill me the way it used to. It was like trying to breathe through a thin straw. That's when I realized how fragile life could be, how easily we mistake warning signs for aging. A few days later, I went through the tests. The colonoscopy revealed the truth. A small, bleeding ulcer in my stomach lining. Nothing cancerous, thank God, but enough to explain everything. When Dr. Harris explained it, I felt a strange mix of fear and relief. Fear because I had let it go so long, relief because, finally, there was a name, a reason for the exhaustion that had stolen my days. He looked at me kindly and said, "George, you're lucky we caught it now. With treatment, iron supplements, diet, and medication to heal that ulcer, you'll get your strength back." Then he smiled gently. "Your body's been trying to tell you something. Now it's time to listen." I nodded slowly. For the first time in months, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Recovery didn't happen overnight.
For the first few weeks, my body felt like an old car trying to start after years in the cold. I took my iron supplements, changed my diet, and followed every instruction Dr. Harris gave me. But still, I woke up each morning wondering if I'd ever feel normal again. Linda was my rock through it all. Every morning, she'd hand me a glass of orange juice. The vitamin C helped the iron absorb, she said. She'd smile and whisper, "We're getting you back, George." And slowly, she was right. After a month, I noticed I could walk up the stairs without stopping halfway. My skin regained a little color, and my hands no longer trembled when I poured my morning coffee. Each small improvement felt like a victory, a quiet reminder that the body can heal if you give it the chance. Dr. Harris was proud when he saw my follow-up results. "Your hemoglobin's improving. The ulcer is healing nicely." He looked up with a knowing smile. "You see, George, sometimes fatigue isn't just tiredness. It's the body's way of asking for help." I nodded, remembering all those months I'd brushed it off as just old age. Now I understood. The body whispers before it screams. As weeks turned into months, my energy returned piece by piece. I started walking with Linda again every evening, watching the sun dip low over the trees. I could breathe deeply, laugh fully, and live without that heavy fog of exhaustion. It felt like being given a second chance at life. One afternoon, as we sat on the porch, Linda looked at me and said softly, "You look like yourself again." And for the first time in a long while, I truly felt like myself again. That night, I couldn't sleep, not from restlessness, but from gratitude. I thought about how close I'd come to ignoring something serious. How many men my age might still be pushing through the same symptoms, telling themselves it's just getting older. So if you're listening to this right now, and you've been feeling that deep, unexplained fatigue, don't brush it aside. Don't call it just age. Because sometimes what feels ordinary isn't. Sometimes it's your body's way of asking you to pay attention before it's too late. I never thought a simple blood test could change my life, but it did. It gave me answers, healing, and time. And at 68, time is the most precious thing you can have. So take care of your health. Listen to your body. Because growing older isn't the same as getting weaker. It's about growing wiser and learning to when to stop, breathe, and listen. And that was the lesson my fatigue taught me.